Let's talk about Lewis structures. Which are models of what the structure looks like for atoms and molecules. One thing I want to define are valence electrons. Valence electrons are electrons in the outermost shell. So what does that mean? So let's talk about the periodic table. If we look at the periodic table, we have the alkali metals, we have the alkaline earth metals, we have the transition metals, and then we have the halogens and the noble gases. Now, for example, oxygen is located here. So, if we count to the left and skip the transitional metals, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 valence electrons. So, oxygen has 6 valence electrons. 6 electrons in the outermost shell. When we're talking about Lewis structures, we use the valence electrons to denote the structure. So for oxygen, because it has 6 valence electrons, we first start by writing the chemical symbol in this case O for oxygen. And then we write in the valence electrons as dots. So we start from top to bottom, left to right. Doesn't matter where you start as long as there are 4 single electrons to start. And then once you have 4, you double up. So after 4 electrons, double up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 valence electrons. Now, it doesn't matter if you write the Lewis structure as follows, or if you write it like this, or like this. It doesn't matter. As long as there are 2 what are called lone pair electrons, and 2 single electrons. Let's try another example. How about nitrogen? What is the Lewis structure of nitrogen? Nitrogen is located here on the periodic table. So it would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 valence electrons. So nitrogen has 5 valence electrons. You write the chemical symbol in the middle and write 1, 2, 3, 4 single electrons, and after 4 you double up. And that would be the Lewis dot structure of nitrogen. Notice that sometimes it's called Lewis dot structure or Lewis structure. Those are both the same thing. And again, if you wanted to write this Lewis structure as follows, it would still be correct. All four of those would be correct. Let's try one more. How about chlorine? Chlorine is located here on the periodic table, so it would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 valence electrons. So you would write chlorine, Cl, in the middle because that's the chemical symbol, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 valence electrons. What if there's a charge on the atom? Then what? Well, let's try sulfur 2 minus. What would that look like? Well, sulfur is located here on the periodic table. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 valence electrons to start. However, there are a -2 charge here. So 2 more electrons need to be added. So if you subtract the charge, then you get that there is a total of 8 electrons to work with. So the Lewis structure for sulfur 2 minus would be the S in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 electrons. And this brings me to the octet rule. The octet rule states that all atoms want to have 8 electrons in the outer shell. And this will become more apparent in the next video.